Isabella had always been passionate about cats. Since she was little, she felt a special connection with these animals, believing they were mysterious, almost mystical creatures. Over the years, she always had cats at home, each with a unique personality, but all seeming to share a silent wisdom that intrigued her. When she moved into an old house in the suburbs of a historic city, she brought along her two cats, Oscar and Luna, both with fur as black as night and piercing green eyes. Isabella was excited about the new house, a place where she could live in peace, surrounded by books and the quiet she loved so much. The house was a construction from the early 20th century, with high ceilings, solid wood doors, and a garden that, though a bit neglected, had undeniable charm. Isabella quickly fell in love with the place, imagining all the decorating possibilities and transforming the space into a true home. However, from the first night, something felt different. The cats, normally calm and adaptable, were strangely restless. Oscar and Luna walked nervously around the house, meowing softly and staring into dark corners with wide eyes. At first, Isabella thought it was just the adaptation to the new environment. After all, the house was large and full of new smells and sounds. But as the days passed, the cat's restlessness didn't subside. Oscar began avoiding certain areas of the house, especially the hallway leading to the master bedroom. Luna, on the other hand, started spending long periods sitting by the window, staring intently at the garden as if watching something only she could see. Isabella, though concerned, tried not to give it too much attention. She knew cats could be territorial, and that changes in the environment could affect them in unpredictable ways. But things started to intensify. At night, Isabella began hearing strange sounds coming from downstairs. Light footsteps, the sound of furniture creaking as if someone was moving through the house. Once, while she was in her bedroom, she heard a loud noise coming from the kitchen, like something heavy had fallen. When she went downstairs to investigate, she found one of the dining chairs knocked over, but there was no one there. The cats were in the living room, their fur standing on end and ears alert. Isabella felt a chill run down her spine. She had always been a rational person, but she couldn't find a logical explanation for what was happening. She decided to ignore it, convincing herself it was just the wind, or that perhaps she had knocked over the chair without realizing it. However, the cat's behavior continued to change, and this began to deeply worry Isabella. Oscar, who had always been the braver of the two, now seemed reluctant to move around the house at night. He stayed close to Isabella, lying at her feet or climbing into her bed, as if standing guard. Luna, meanwhile, started behaving protectively, something Isabella had never seen in her before. When Isabella was in a room of the house, Luna always positioned herself between her and the door, as if ready to protect her from something. Isabella tried to ignore it, but she couldn't help feeling a growing sense of unease. There was something in that house that seemed to be affecting the cats and, by extension, Isabella herself. She began having disturbing dreams, where she found herself trapped in a dark labyrinth, with shadows moving around her, while she heard the distant meows of her cats echoing far away. One of the most unsettling moments happened one night when Isabella was lying in bed reading a book. Oscar and Luna were at the foot of the bed, both in a state of alertness that Isabella found unusual. Suddenly, both cats stood up at the same time, ears perked, staring intently at the bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. Isabella followed the cat's gaze, feeling her heart race. The hallway light was off, and all she could see was darkness beyond the door. However, there was something there, a sense that they were not alone. Oscar began to growl, a deep threatening sound Isabella had never heard from him before. Luna positioned herself in front of Isabella, as if trying to protect her from something about to enter the room. The air grew heavy, and Isabella felt a pressure in her chest, as if something was approaching, even though she couldn't see it. For a brief moment, she had the impression of seeing a shadow moving in the hallway, an indistinct figure that seemed to be lurking in the darkness. Panicking, she quickly got up and shut the door, locking it. The cats continued to growl, but eventually calmed down, though their eyes remained fixed on the closed door. That night was long and sleepless for Isabella. She lay in bed with the cats beside her, feeling the weight of what had happened. She tried to rationalize, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something in the house that didn't want her presence there. In the following days, Isabella decided to seek help. She confided in a close friend about what was happening, and he suggested she consult someone who understood spiritual energy, someone who could help her understand what she was facing. That's how Isabella found Madame Serena, a well-known medium in town for her ability to handle paranormal situations. Madame Serena was an elderly woman with eyes that seemed to see beyond the visible. When Isabella welcomed her into the house, the cats immediately approached her, as if they recognized her in some way. Madame Serena gently petted Oscar and Luna, murmuring soft words as they purred in response. After a few minutes, she began to walk through the house, sensing the energies that filled the rooms. When they reached the hallway leading to the master bedroom, where the cats always seemed most unsettled, Madame Serena stopped and closed her eyes. She remained silent for a long moment before opening her eyes and turning to Isabella with a serious expression. "There is a presence here," she said calmly. "Something old that is trapped in this place and has become protective of this space. But it's not hostile. It's just confused and doesn't understand why you're here." Madame Serena explained that the presence in the house might be linked to a former owner, someone who had lived there for many years and who, after death, refused to leave. The energy of this spirit was interacting with the cats, who are naturally sensitive to such presences. Serena suggested that Isabella perform a purification ritual, something that would help cleanse the house's energy and possibly allow the spirit to find peace. That night, under Madame Serena's guidance, Isabella lit candles and incense, walking through the house while reciting prayers and purification mantras. The cats followed her closely, as if understanding what was happening. When they reached the hallway, Serena lit a special candle made with sacred herbs and placed it on the floor, letting it burn while reciting words in an ancient language. The air seemed to vibrate with a palpable energy, and Isabella felt a subtle change in the house's atmosphere. It was as if a weight had been lifted, as if something was finally finding rest. After that night, the house became quieter. Oscar and Luna returned to their normal behavior, without the nervousness they had shown before. They stopped avoiding the hallway and staring at the garden at night. Isabella, though she still felt a subtle presence in the house, no longer felt threatened. She began to see the spirit as a guardian of the house, someone who had lived there for so long that they had become part of the place. Isabella continued her life in the house, feeling more at peace with the environment around her. She knew that the cats remained vigilant, but not out of fear. Rather, they seemed to be watching over her and the home they shared. The connection between Isabella and her cats grew even stronger, and she learned to trust their instincts and sensitivity, to perceive what others could not. The house, which once seemed full of disturbing mysteries, now became a refuge, a place where Isabella could live in harmony with whatever was there. As the years passed, Isabella fully adapted to the house, seeing it as a place of memories and energy, but without fear. She knew that the spirit that once roamed its halls now rested, and the cats remained her loyal companions, always ready to protect her from the unknown. The experience taught Isabella to value the invisible and to trust the signs her cats gave her, knowing that they were more than just pets. They were guardians and guides in a world full of mysteries.